Hello, everybody. So, more or less, as I told you, structuralism is complete. So, when we are done with structuralism, it's high time that we enter post structuralism. Now, when we are talking about post structuralism, those who are reading Peter Berry or any other literary books, one thing is very prominently written there, that structural post structuralism, for some it is a continuation of structuralism, and for some post structuralism is something which went against structuralism. Okay, so what was the actual movement? Okay, how we moved from structuralism to post structuralism? One very important person who stands in between structuralism and post-structuralism is, of course, Roland Barthes. Okay, and the very important essay that I have already mentioned that you have to study is Roland Barthes' Death of the Author. That essay, which was probably published in 1967 or 1968, it contained the seeds of the transfer from this displacement from structuralism to post structuralism. Okay, now what is the idea of post structuralism? One very important person whom we have to study in our discussion of post structuralism is, of course, the very famous person named Jacques Derrida. Okay, the spelling of Jacques Derrida is Jacques, Jacques Derrida, Derrida. Okay, now let's understand a little about Derrida. Derrida is called the father of deconstruction. Along with post-structuralism, you please write down one more term in your notebook, and that is deconstruction. Okay, and Derrida is the father, is known as the father of post-structuralism and the father of deconstruction, because whatever has been prescribed in the course of general linguistics, the book by Saussure, okay, that has been interpreted in a very different way by Jacques Derrida, and thus he laid the foundation of the critical theory called post-structuralism and further deconstruction. Okay, now let's talk a little about Derrida. Derrida was he's a Frenchman, and there is one important thing to note here is this: Derrida originally belonged from Algeria, okay, which is a country which is dominated by mostly by black people. So he actually hailed from Algeria, and he has come to France. Okay, thus he's known as a French person. Roland Barthes also he belonged from France probably. Now we have to understand this very significantly, that what was the reason of the rise of post-structuralism? In France, in Paris, in 1960s, there had been a kind of revolution. Okay, a very small, we cannot say revolution, but a rebellion, where the students of the university, they were rebelling against the institution, against the government. Okay, and among these people who were rebelling against the institution, the government, the authority, these people like Roland Barthes and Derrida, they were there. Okay, and they, through their writings, Barthes, Derrida, and the other post-structuralists, okay, what they have done, they tried to raise their voice against the structure. Okay, so post-structuralism in a way is, of course, in some way it's a continuation, but again it's raising the voice against the authority and against the structure. That is the reason when I talked about death of the author, I told you that why the author is a dead figure here, because the author puts an authorial meaning, he thrusts an authorial meaning over the text, and he expects that the readers and the critics all of us accept the meaning. Okay, Barth is killing the, metaphorically killing that author figure, and by which he is actually trying to raise his voice against the structure and against authority. He said that with the death of the author there is the birth of the reader, and when the reader is born, he comes up with the multiple meanings of the same text. So this multiplicity, this democratization is something which they were actually yearning for in the real life, okay, in the actual physical world. And this thing, it is reflected in the writings of Barth and later Derrida. Okay. Now Derrida had written a very important work where he specified that what structuralism actually is doing. Okay, it is actually the name of the work, the essay that he wrote is Structure, Sign and Play. Structure, Sign and Play. This is a very important essay by Derrida. Okay, and there he has actually discussed that what basically and how basically structuralism moves to post-structuralism, okay, and how the center, the structure that we had been emphasizing so far, how it is demolished in post-structuralism. Okay, so in the next video we will see specifically what Derrida is talking about regarding structuralism. Okay.